In today's lecture, we will talk about archetypal criticism. Before starting the archetypal criticism, we must understand what is literary theory and what is criticism. Actually, they both are interrelated to each other. Let's suppose if I want to drink coffee, then coffee powder is literary theory and the act of coffee making is an act of criticism because I don't use anything else except coffee powder, so it is literary theory. It is like literary theory, and the act of coffee making is criticism because this act can change person to person like critics, but we can't change the literary theory. So we can say a very basic way of thinking, about literary theory is that these ideas act as different lenses for critics to talk about art, literature and even culture. Art, literature and even culture. These different lenses allow critics to consider works of art based on certain assumptions within that school of poetry. Now, let's talk about archetypal criticism. It is also called mythical criticism. It is a type of critical theory that interprets a text by focusing on recurring myths and patterns of literature. There is one person in particular who comes to our mind when we talk about archetype literary criticism, and that is Northrop Frye. He is the author of the Archetypes of Literature and the Anatomy of Criticism. Archetype criticism is a type of literary criticism that focuses on particular patterns, motifs, themes, myths, or ideas that recurring in a particular work of literature or a particular piece of writing. Archetypal is a form of criticism based on the works of C.G. Jung and Joseph Campbell. Some of the major figures conclude Robert Graves, Francis Ferguson, Philip Wheelwright, Leslie Fiedler, Northrop Frye, Maud Bodkin, and G. Wilson Knight. These critics view the genres and individual plot patterns of literature as recurrence of certain archetypes and essential mythic formulas. Archetype says that recurring images we have in our mind, we inherited these from our ancestors. What is the meaning of recurring images? Recurring means we have inside our head or our mind. Archetypes uh, telling us that we have collective consciousness. They focuses on our inner unconsciousness again and again. Myth critics want to try to look at pattern, ideas or myths of a particular work or a particular piece of writing in literature. Now, there are two sets of archetypes in literature. First is character and the other is situation. For example, the hero. The hero in a story can be male or female. When we see a hero, we will try to find out all virtues, all goodness, like he is honest, honorable, and have a passion for justice. He can fight whatever evil forces are around him. These archetypes represents our unconsciousness, and the other one is the situation, the fall down of a character. In many stories, we can see the main character experiences a downfall as the result of poor choice or action. This might bring about an redemption later in the story, or it could be the ending of the story. Let's take an example. Mr. Rochester in Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Mr. Rochester made the mistakes of not being upfront with Jane. Not being upfront with Jane. about his mentally ill wife, and of thinking he could properly care his wife. As a result, he loses Jane and his wife burns down the house, which permanently disfigures the handsome Mr. Rochester. In the end, Jane makes her way back to him and they are able to continue their love story. Now here is a question. Why are archetypes important in literature? Through literature and literary devices such as archetypes, society can become more aware of its negative and positive aspects. Similar to the way that a court jester could tell the truth about a royal leader when no one else could. Common archetypes bring an aspect of realism to literature or other media that helps the story jump off of the page and the reader's heart. The aim of an archetype is to looking at the work of literature, looking at the particular piece of writing and identifying this particular piece of writing, and after that identifying the patterns, the ideas of an author's purpose of writing, and then commenting the society. Here are few key terms of archetypal criticism: the anima and the animus. First is the anima. The anima is the archetype that expresses the fact that men have a minority of feminine qualities, and the animus expresses the masculine qualities within women. Means these both are opposite to each other. In every man there is a woman, and in every woman there is a man, or rather there is an ideal man or woman which is as rule formed in part by the experience of our mother, father. For example, Milton. Milton is called Lady of Christ. So it is a best example of anima because we can see anima in Milton. Now here is another key term, the persona. The character we display in our occupation is not the same as at home. When we are alone, we have no one to impress, but in public, we wear a mask, a persona, so that we might impose of ourselves onto others. In simple words, we can say we wear a mask in public, this image called persona. For example, Joseph Conrad makes use of a persona in his novel Heart of Darkness. The name of the persona in this case is Marlowe, and this thought to be one of the most well recognized examples of persona in literature. The writer uses the persona to discuss his own real life visit to the Congo and how he dreamed of visiting far off lands as a young boy. And next key term is the shadow. The shadow is an archetype that consists of the sex and life instincts. The shadow exists as part of the unconscious mind and is composed of suppressed ideas, weaknesses, desires, instincts, and shortcomings. Jung suggested that the shadow can appear in dreams or visions and may take a variety of forms. It might appear as a snake, as a monster, a demon, or some other dark images like any exotic figure. In literature, the shadow can carry negative or evil qualities, as seen in many texts that revolve around a character's struggle with some form of a shadow. For example, The Strange Case. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. Dr. Jekyll is a kind, well-respected scientist, but he chooses to explore the darker side of science to bring out his second nature. Now we have another term, that is collective unconsciousness, a set of primal memories common to be human races existing below each person's conscious mind. It is called collective unconsciousness. Here I mentioned few important works based on archetypal criticism. The most influential contribution to archetype criticism has been made by the Canadian mythologist Northrop Frye, who places structures of myth at the heart of the main literary genres. His essay, The Archetypes of Literature, expresses his dissatisfaction with new criticism. Now let's conclude this lecture very quickly. We discussed what is archetypal criticism. So the theory which looks into the patterns, ideas, myths of literature and identify or interpret a piece of writing with patterns and mythical formulas is called archetype theory of criticism. Now the second point is the people who are associated with archetype criticism like C.G. Jung and Northrop Frye. They both are contributed so much to the archetypal criticism. Next point is we discuss the key terms of this theory that are anime, animus, persona, shadow and the collective unconsciousness. And the final is we have completed this lecture with the most important works based on archetype criticism. So I hope you will like the video lecture. If you have any doubt or you have any query related to this theory, you can comment in comment box. We will meet in the next video which will about the psychoanalytic criticism. Thank you so much.